Now can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. Uh, Now I'm getting old. Not getting old. I'm flattering myself. I'm an extremely old, decrepit man. When I'm saying I'm getting old, obviously my memory has its own problems. Now that you can hear me, uh, Sharat, I guess you didn't hear the Sharat bit. Uh, Sharat apparently is preparing for some exams. Okay, so he says uh, teaching this paper does not come naturally to him. All right, and because teaching this paper does not come naturally to him, he'll have to prepare separately for this, which essentially means that he will have to use some of his time uh, for preparation and of the lectures. And so he says he would rather study because employment apparently for him is important. And anyway, he also has to connect and he has to show work done on his PhD to mutate his JRF into SRF. So he has very, very politely requested me. So you said you will do it, and I said yes, I will do it. I still stand by my word, and uh, I stand by my word. And you will, of course, not believe me because of the number of times I have ditched you. Right? It's been quite a few times that I have ditched you. But let me put it this way: I cannot say I will continue without ditching at all. Okay. What I seek is your cooperation to make up for the days that I cannot teach because of my illness. I will try to minimize them. I'm not Kamala Hassan to be all fully bandaged and come out of the operation theater straight and get up and bash up the villains. I'm not that. I'm, like I said, a decrepit old man. So you got to cut me some slack and you have to be a little patient. I promise you that I'll finish your syllabus, okay? And without compromising on the quality of teaching. Without compromising on the quality of teaching, I shall finish your syllabus. So please don't keep running to your, what's her name, to your vice chancellor, because she's apparently been saying at least come for 1 or 2 days. Now, what happens with this 1 or 2 days is the rest of the days I'm teaching and 1 or 2 days he's teaching, you will find that there is a huge, huge problem in adjusting not just to the styles of teaching, but also to how we organize ourselves into teaching. If he says he's going to take the first 2 units, I can't start from the third. Okay? If he says I'll do the first unit or the first 2 units, I can't start from the third. And I'll also have to know how he has dealt with the first 2 units because, you know, each teacher has his own way of dealing with earth also, of dealing with a subject. And apart from that, the other problem is that if I say I'll take the first 2, 3 units and he has to go behind, then he won't know what I have discussed in what I'm discussing in the beginning. So, coordinating a paper between two people simultaneously. I actually don't like the idea of even two people teaching sequentially. which is two people teach 2 units and two other people come and teach the two other or three other units. I am not for that because, like I said, there are contrasts even in scholarship. Everybody doesn't agree on the same kind of ideas. And and especially when somebody says that he's a little shaky and that he'll have to spend a lot of time on this, instead of this, he'd rather spend on his conversion of his JRF to SRF and also to writing his competitive exams. I was extremely sympathetic to him because I can understand. He's in the beginning of his career. I have come to the end of my career. Okay, and I know how big a struggle it is. And I was a lucky one. I got employed at the age of 24 or 24 and a half. Uh, but despite that, to get into a job was something which is very, very, very much of a struggle. So, especially since I placed all my bets on academics. So, uh, don't worry, is what I want to tell you. If I don't teach today, if I don't teach tomorrow, for example, make up. I'll make up how and why. We'll make it up as we go. I can't think of situations how they are, but please don't expect me to be Tamil film hero coming out of the operation theater directly and bashing people up. I like to see those films. They are, Tamil heroes are superheroes. Actually. Shouldn't be calling them. You shouldn't be calling them heroes. You should be calling them superheroes. Uh, we have only one. Then that is Chiranjeevi, the supreme hero and megastar. So there'll be a mountain on which somebody's going to this, some lady might just fall off. There are five others who can pull her back, but he'll have to bash six men and come and pull her back. So I can't do that either. So, but I promise you that uh, I will definitely finish your portion. Okay, so let's get back to what we were doing the last time. The last time was a bit of a detour. I remember that very much. Does anybody else remember what the detour was? Hmm? No. Okay. Uh, the detour was rather simple. The detour was the setting up of the university. For understanding that, because everything else that follows is what is called uh, everything else that follows is what is called science. Though, like I told you once, the Greeks didn't distinguish between science and philosophy. Both science and philosophy were for them interchangeable. Both were the pursuits of both were the same. And but in the modern period, we have a problem because of positivism, which we will be studying later. And positivism, put a dichotomy. It posited a dichotomy between science and philosophy, science and history, and between what it called fact and value. Okay, you don't find these dichotomies originally among the Greeks or among the Romans or any of the other civilizations that existed. For us, we had only one word, mercifully, the Shastras. And there's nothing unscientific about the Shastras. The Shastras are pretty scientific. And when the time comes, I shall prove to you that what we think is science, in the sense that it is completely good knowledge, correct knowledge, which cannot be refuted, you will find that there is no such thing happening even with the science. Everything in science today can be refuted. Everything. You can refute everything in science, be it medical, be it physics, be it chemistry, anything. Anything can be refuted. It works only up to a certain level. After that, it doesn't. So anyway, so we were talking about what was the necessity for setting up the university or the institution of the university. Today we think institution of university is to provide education to all people who can afford to pay the fees and who are interested in studying. That is how we look at the universities today. But university in its origin is not like that. Okay. The university in its origin, like I told you, is a very Christian institution. I had talked to you about how the Christians uh, started this biblical hermeneutics, which I told you were those which were used in order to determine which version of the Bible was the correct version. Okay, so uh, the Christian religion, like all ancient uh, philosophies and religions, believes in the oneness of the universe. That is why it's called one verse. Okay, the opposite of a universe is a multiverse where there are things which are disconnected. So the thing here is that when we talk about a universe, we are saying that everything happens for a reason. Okay, we may not know the reason. We may not know the reason. Okay, and one day one doctor, very, I was sent to him by someone, and he said, better learn to take things uh, philosophical. He said, I said, what is that? And he said, there is a thing called the will of the universe. Uh, where did you come from? You came from a certain place and you traveled something like 19 kilometers to come and meet me. Have you ever been into your neighbor's house? I said, no, I haven't been into any of my neighbor's houses. In fact, I haven't been into my tenants' houses, which is technically our house. So he said, yeah, that is the idea. You should understand that everything has a purpose. Your coming to me has some reason which you and I both don't know. But there is some supreme power which knows why you should come and meet me. Okay, so that was indeed uh, a great example, I thought. Not that I didn't believe in it before, but it was a good and simple way of putting what a universe is. So, universe is supposed to be purposive. Everything that happens in a universe doesn't happen at random, doesn't happen accidentally. Even accidents happen for a reason. If somebody comes tomorrow and hits me with his vehicle and I get maimed or I die in that process, it is because it was meant to be that my getting maimed or dying in the hands of the person who hit me was preordained. It is something which was preordained. And in fact, that is the basis of all. I talked to you about Shastra. That is the basis of all Shastras. Okay? Shastras will basically astrology. We tend to think it is a pseudoscience, as some people call it. Some people call it alchemy. It is like a poor workman blaming his tools. Okay. The reality is that it is not that. It is not that at all. What is the reality is that if you know how to do your job, then you'll do a reasonable job of it. Nobody does a perfect job of anything. Okay? Nobody does. The last time I had a surgery, I'm still carrying staples, uh, which had to be out some 2 months or month and a half ago. And I can't find the doctor because he's always on tour. He's a big shot. So those staples which are being used to hold my skin together are yet to come off. So you see, that is also probably happening for a reason. And if I go to another doctor, he'll say, "No, I won't touch this. This is because I didn't conduct this surgery on you. I will not take this out." So what I'm trying to tell you, therefore, is that is how a university came into being to establish that it cannot be multiple versions of the Bible. Okay, there cannot be multiple versions of the Bible, especially the raunchy ones that I talked to you about last time. And I'm not going to talk about that now. So they wanted to have one standardized text, okay, which is what, let me just deviate for a little, for a minute and get to this. Okay, at one time, when there was a holiday declared for a festival, in my younger days, and not too many, and I say younger, not when I was 5 years old or 15 years old, even when I was 40 years old, uh, there was no controversy about the date of uh, a religion. Which day do we celebrate this religion? Okay, because everybody followed only one Shastra, which dictated how to follow the religion. Okay, and this also comes from astrology. Now, astrology will basically tell you you have to follow a religion on the tithi, time, date, and everything, which are there at the time of dawn, at the time when the sun rises. At that time, when it is there, you have to follow the religion on that day. Now, you take a country like India. Okay, the longitudes are not really a very big problem. The problems are the latitudes. Okay, because time doesn't change with longitudes. It changes with latitudes, positioning of various places in latitudes, right? So you look at our country, we are a peninsula. So up at the top, we have this broad, hey, shut up. We have this broad part of the country up at the top. And as we come down into the peninsula, it gets narrow. Now just see how many, just pick up a globe or whatever and see how many latitudes are passing through the top of the country to the bottom. Okay, now, like I said, time, the positions of the sun. Some people say, we are being stupid, having following only one time, which is the Indian Standard Time. Because I don't know how many of you have Sneha Shorkar might be from Calcutta. If she is, and if she's been to Calcutta, she will know that the sun sets in Calcutta at 4 o'clock. Okay, typically in the month of say October or something like that, it sets at 4 o'clock. It becomes pretty dark at 4, and in the winter months, it becomes pretty dark here, where we are a little lower and a little aft. It sets at 6 o'clock. But if you go to Bombay, which is the West Coast, the sun doesn't set before 7:15. You can play cricket without any lights, anything. You can play cricket properly, especially in the summer. You can play up to 7:30 also. Okay, so that basically means light. So people say we should do what the Americans did, and which is change timings, have different time zones. So they have 5 zones or 4 zones: Eastern time, Pacific time. They have what's the other one, that is uh, Western time, and they also have this Midwest time. So they have these different kinds of time zones, 4 or 5 of them, and each of them has a different time. Like when it is, if you're on the East Coast in New York, when it is 9 in the morning. If you're in San Francisco, it is not even 5. Okay, because America is a broad country. Yes. Hey, look at its map. It's absolutely broad. And Maya, please take these also. Everything I like these. And so the timings change. So what they do is they have set up different time zones. But the Shastras in India, Kala Shastra, that which deals with time, tells you that you cannot tamper with time, which is also what physics of the Newtonian variety tells you. Okay, the physics of the Newtonian variety tells you that time is a physics principle, and you cannot set, you can't say this day begins at this time, or rather, this day, 9 o'clock is now, but in the coming seasons, 9 o'clock will start much earlier. So if you look at that, you see that India doesn't allow for that. That is the reason why we have only one standard time, standardized time, and we don't even adjust our time for daylight saving as it is done in Europe and America. Okay, in the winters, uh, there the time difference between India and the east coast of America is 9.5 hours. In the in the summers, it is 9.5 hours. But in the winters, it is only 8 hours, 45 minutes or 9 hours. Okay, so they change the time. Now, as far as our uh, system goes, time can't be played with, as does Newton, who believes in time being a principle of physics. So we celebrate, we celebrate festivals, the same festival at different times and different places, on different days, not times, I'm sorry. Okay, sometimes Holi is celebrated in northern India on a certain day in March, and in the southern India, if at all anybody celebrates Holi anymore, we used to celebrate it when we were kids. It was a wonderful day we used to look forward to. Nobody plays Holi anymore. Your loss entirely. And sometimes it would be the next day for us, and nobody minded. Okay, that is how it is. This is what the Kala Shastra dictated. Now, but the BJP, not the BJP, the RSS, after independence, they wanted to create one universal uh, day of celebration of festivals. So till then, we had been, and many people still do, most people still do, follow what is called the Purva Shastra. Uh, the Kala Shastra, some people refer to it now as Purva Shastra because it's the old thing, given the new thing that the RSS brought in, which is called the Thik Shastra. And the Thik Shastra says it doesn't matter uh, latitude, longitude, none of these things matter. The whole country should celebrate the festival on the same day. Okay, don't look at minor differences of when what tithi is there during the sunrise and all that kind of things. So many people don't agree to that, and so today you have all these confusions. You have these big confusions where some people say it is today, some people say it's tomorrow. But earlier on, there was none like that because we followed only one Shastra. Now, the moment you start following two Shastras which are contradictory to each other, then the problem. All right. Now, uh, the reason why I brought this up is to tell you that this is astrology, by the way. Okay, astrology is not just making a prediction and saying Sneha Sarkar will become a doctor. By that I mean PhD, or Bhavani will become an IAS officer, or Manya Sharma will become an astronaut. No, no, those are not the kind of things it is. Those also can be predicted to a certain time because all the astral bodies are moving, and the belief of the ancient Indian civilization is that the time of our birth, the place of our birth, which is the latitude of our birth, the time of our birth, will determine the star and what rules our life. It's based on that they were able to make predictions. And at one time, people made very accurate predictions. Okay, at one time, people made very accurate predictions. But today, nobody can because that's dead. So you can't blame astrology and say it's nonsense, it's bunkum, simply because of the fact that it is, no longer being, uh, what should we say, is no longer being able to predict anything. And this controversy that has come in because of invoking two Shastras has added to that confusion. Now, people would actually like for the confusion to be cleared up, but all those in power would like to consolidate all knowledge into one. They would like to consolidate all knowledge into one. They would like to consolidate physics into one, which it isn't. You have a string theory, quantum theory. You have, I can't remember the third. And so, similarly, Einstein doesn't agree with the idea that physics is immutable, as Newton says. He says there is relativity in physics as well. Okay, and he says it is a simple example. I don't know if I've given it to you before. The simple example that Einstein gives you is that why are you able to see your reflection in the mirror? Because light is traveling at a certain speed and it is first hitting your face and carrying the reflection of your face into the mirror. Okay, so if you have to appear clearly in the mirror, you should have light properly falling on your face. Otherwise, you can't be seen properly. You can't look at your mirror in the dark. So it's got to be light falling on your face, then that going and hitting the mirror, and you seeing the reflection that is thrown back by the mirror. Right? So Newton said this is immutable. But Einstein says it is not. It is very immutable. Why? Because speed also has something to do with uh, with the way physics functions. Newton has not taken into consideration the variable called speed. We are able to see our faces, buildings, and so many things. We're able to photograph them and all that because of the fact that we are not moving as fast as light. So Newton, Einstein gives us a theory which he says, understand, is a hypothetical thing. He says, for a minute, just think that you are capable of uh, traveling as fast as time, sorry, as fast as light. Okay, so he says, now take a mirror and walk where there is light. Even while you're walking, even while you're moving, and the mirror which you're holding in front of you is moving, you're able to see your reflection. Why? Because you're way, way slower than time. Okay? And he then says, just imagine if you are traveling at the speed of light. Okay? If you're traveling at the speed of light with the mirror in front of you, then can you see your reflection in the mirror? The answer to that is no. Why? Because you are not giving time to light to hit your face first, then go and hit the surface of the mirror and reflect you back. Both you and mirror are moving at the speed of light, which means that light has no effect of reflection. So we take reflection, refraction, all of them to be immutable principles. But Einstein says no, it's relativity. It's relative to the speed. And you don't have to take such an extreme example. Okay, if you watch cricket, I'm sure you all do. If you watch cricket, you have this thing called super slow motion. Okay, how are you able to do that? You are able to slow down the thing that you have filmed. Say, for example, if you have to film action as it is happening at something like the speed of 1,200 frames per second. Per second. It's an arbitrary figure. Don't hang on to that. Okay, it could be all wrong. Let's say that if you want to project reality as it is, then you will have to film it at 1,200 seconds per minute in the camera by the camera. Now, what do? After you have filmed it, you slow down the speed of the projection of the camera from 1,200 frames to say 100 frames per second or minute or whatever. So what happens? Everything slows down. Everything slows down, and you can see bowler's arm, you can see how he's using the fingers, you can see the batsman, how he's using the bat, you can see the bat go a bit like this when he hits the ball. You can see all that. Okay? That is because you slowed down what you have filmed at normal speed of our sight. When we say normal speed, it is our sight. Right? Now, can you film something as it is happening in super slow motion? You can't. Because if you slow down the camera to 100 uh, frames per second, then by the time the bowler delivers the ball, already the batsman would have hit it out or whatever, out of the ground, or he might have been caught or whatever. So it doesn't reflect what is happening on the ground in a live telecast. Doesn't do that. So first you have to film it at the natural speed at which we are capable of seeing. We are capable of seeing. Okay? And by we, I mean human beings. You can later slow it down, but the actual filming process has to happen at that speed, required speed. Now you have ultrasound and infrasound. Now, ultrasound is not something we can hear, but there is an ultrasound. And the power of sound is that if you do an ultrasound scan, then you can actually see a fuzzy, but nevertheless, a picture. When they scan, when they do a 2D echo of the heart, it is done with an ultrasound equipment. It shows how the heart is beating. Then they slow it down. Then they see it. Okay. Similarly, if you're saying infra is when it is really low, where you can't hear again. We cannot hear if sound is less than 20 cycles per second. We cannot hear. We cannot hear if it is more than 120 cycles per second. Okay, that is a human limitation. This is not the limitation of all animals. What we consider dark is not dark for felines. They can see almost as well as we see in daylight. Uh, they see it in the night. And if you remember your biology lessons from school, you'll see the cats having pupils narrowed in the morning because they are not attuned to take so much light. So cats are essentially nocturnal creatures. Okay, and if you look at this whole segment uh, of dogs, horrible, they're horrible. They're lovable till when I'm teaching. Yeah, and so an elephant is capable of producing infrasound, which is supposed to be around 3 or 4 cycles per second, or even less perhaps. So infrasound you can't hear, but the elephants can. It's ultra, I mean, infra is very low, ultra is very high, infra is very low. Infra is not capable of forming uh, pictures, but it can alter light. You put an infrared, and the red is different from the normal red for us. Okay, but the elephant, by the way, is something that can hear beyond. Is somebody asking me something? Okay. Uh, uh, if you uh, go below something, you can't hear, but the elephant can. And infrasound apparently has the property of not being affected by winds and other atmospheric noises. So elephants, through the medium of infrasound, can communicate with each other over distances ranging up to anywhere between 15 to 20 kilometers. 15 to 20 kilometers, they can hear themselves communicate. We can't do that. We like to think that we are the greatest species. Okay, but that's a principle of physics, cycles. So everything is relative. If you're an elephant, you can do everything that a human being can't do with infrasound. Okay, if you're a bat or a dolphin, you can do with a sonar, which is nothing but ultrasound, which won't be visible or rather audible to the human ear. But the bat, though they don't have vision, they can still picture. They fly so fast, and they can, at that sound, at that speed, they are continuously, continuously letting off, what should I say? They are letting off uh, ultrasound waves, and that bounces back to them and tells them there is an obstruction here. So they avoid it. So while they can't see, they can hear. So you see, nothing is immutable. Nothing is something which is true for all. But right from the beginning, it has been the quest of human beings. It has been the quest of human beings to try and somehow or the other, uh, what do we say? To try and somehow or the other create one objective system of knowledge. Please pay attention to this word. I will not discuss the implications of this word now, but I will discuss this in detail later on as we go deeper into the subject. We call ourselves a political science, so that is what this is all supposed to be a justification of, or a rejection of, depends on who you are. Okay, so if you do hear, if you do see all this, we have tried to create a consistent body of knowledge which is indisputable, which is why you have things like fatwas in Islam. If something is written in the Quran and you dare to defy it, then you're executed, which is what happened to Salman Rushdie, sorry. And in Christianity, though they don't do it now, the entire medieval period with uh, is replete with people being put to death because they disagree with someone or something. So you see, uh, Galileo, we only think he's known for one thing, but we'll stick to that one thing now, the heliocentric theory. He said the Earth is not the center of the universe, which is what the Bible claims even today. Even today, it says that the Earth is a flat disk and it is the center of the universe, the Earth. That's the geocentric theory. Galileo disproved it. He said it is the Earth that is not a disk, it's a sphere going around the sun, not the other way around. Okay, and immediately the Christian church passed this thing, decree, saying that Galileo should be executed. Galileo pled for his life and he said, I was under the influence of the devil, and that is the reason why I kind of made this terrible error of, I made this terrible error of saying these things. I'm wrong. I agree I'm wrong. Please spare my life. Because killing was not just killing, it was barbaric killing. Okay, people would be burnt alive on a stake, which is a stick. A fire would be created around them and they would be burnt alive. So there were all these barbaric punishments. Even today, what they do in Saudi Arabia is stone people to death. That is one of the punishments for defying authority. So uh, people were afraid of death. So they accepted false knowledge, even though they knew that this is not correct knowledge. All right, it's only with the Reformation, it's only with the Reformation that you find that a change takes place. Okay, the universities stop trying to create one unified version of the Bible and say, this is the truth revealed to God, to human beings, revelation, divine revelation, revealed to human beings by God through the medium of a prophet. That is what the university was set up for. But that is not what the university is today. Today, especially if you look at Usmania University, I don't know if you're still a part of it or not a part of it. The university has been set up to give thick, fat salaries to people who don't know anything. Okay? That is the reason why it exists. But it wasn't set up for this reason. It was set up to disseminate knowledge. So university was set up to disseminate knowledge. It was only Christian knowledge in the beginning, but later on it became other forms of knowledge as well. So that is the rise of the university. After this, we have the resolutive compositive method, which I don't want to start now, because if I start that, then I'll have to stop it midway and start with it again tomorrow. Okay? So please don't panic. For heaven's sake, please don't panic. I'll finish your syllabus. But I need your cooperation because I don't keep well. I don't pretend that I'm not well. In fact, my research scholars wanted to meet me today and I couldn't even go to college. But somehow I have mustered up the willpower to basically say, no, I'm going to do these classes today, come what may. So I have one more class to go through, and I go through a lot of pain. Okay, and I told you, I still have staples that need to come out, and hopefully they'll come out tomorrow in the morning. That's what I've been told. But one doesn't know until something actually happens. So thank you. Please don't panic. Don't keep running to your vice chancellor. She won't be able to do anything for you because even if she asks X, Y, Z to come and teach you, they can't. Let's face this. They can't teach this. They have no idea because they're all products of Usmania University, Usmania for Usmanians. So what happens? I pass my illiteracy, my EDSE to my students, and it has become a generational thing where it has now become impossible to teach anything sensible. It has become impossible to teach anything sensible. On the one hand, you have pressures being put by the UGC, you have pressures being put by the NAAC saying, please upgrade your syllabus. What are you teaching? This is from way back in the 1950s. You upgrade the syllabus, you see what's happening. Right? So please have faith in me, not godly faith, human faith in me. I will finish this whole syllabus. Do it properly. But don't go running to your vice chancellor. It's like going to a cobbler and saying, please repair my car. Okay? It'll be like that. A cobbler cannot repair your car. You have to go to a proper car mechanic if you need your car to be repaired. And you can't go to a car mechanic to repair your shoe. You have to go to a cobbler to get your shoe repaired. So, please, don't lose your cool. Don't get into panic mode, especially Madam Srivalli Garu. Please don't lose your cool. I assure you, I will. It is my responsibility to complete this syllabus properly without compromising on what you should learn. So, stop now. Tomorrow we'll pick up the resolutive compositive method. From tomorrow onwards, things will become slightly more straightforward, not necessarily simple, but slightly more straightforward. Okay. Thank you very much. And please remember that I am not doing this because I have to do this. If I say I won't do it, nobody will say. Nobody can do anything to me. But having created this, I take it as my moral obligation. I don't get paid extra for this. It's my moral obligation. I get paid enough by the university, and I don't do MA teaching and all. God only knows what is happening there. If they want to come, they come. If they don't want, they don't come. So I'm not doing this as something that I had to do because somebody has thrust this on me. I have, despite my poor health, I have voluntarily taken this up. Voluntarily taken this up so that people who are studying this course do not suffer. So thank you very much for your cooperation, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.